Welcome to the Lightforge. This is Adwicta.
This is Merps, and this week we have a very special guest with us, a returning guest from episode 5 of the Lightforge.
Oh, was it episode 5? That was
It
an
was episode
early
5.
guess. I was taking a guess. I was trying to figure out when she was on, and I was like 7, 8, 9.
I know, but welcome back, Hafu.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah. So wait, how long ago was episode 5?
It was,
That was
2 years and 3 months
Must
ago.
have. Yeah, I was
Oh
gonna
my
say
gosh.
it was a long time ago.
Oh, we talked about your Lord of the Arena win.
Yes.
Oh, God. I still haven't done the global emote. Sorry. Let's see.
Oh, you still have the Okay, I totally forgot. Wait, so is that just in your back pocket? Like you can always
I don't know if I can always, but I'll be like, hey, remember the thing I won? You never gave me a date for it.
That's true. Although they could say it's like, well, hey, you never submitted something. It's been 2 years, so.
They didn't give a deadline.
Oh, ooh, okay.
It's evergreen. Anytime she has something over Twitch.
All right, sounds good. Anyways, nice to have you back. Obviously, we wanted to talk about some arena, but that's not really like the big thing happening in your Hearthstone life right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you made round 2 of the Dungeon Run Twitch challenge, right?
Yes, I did. I know it's a really
Congratulations.
random thing. Thank you. I saw that there was a challenge, and I assumed that it was like you got one attempt, like one shot at it, and that was it. And I was like, oh, I don't really like everyone else is tryharding on this. I haven't done any research. I'm not gonna bother, right? And then it was brought to my attention that you could actually try as many times as you wanted, just on like a different account every time.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't submit your own scores, it doesn't matter. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'll try one dungeon. And then that one dungeon, when I lost, I was like, holy crap, right? Like, wait, this is hard. Because you never expect PvE to be hard. Like, you never expect playing against a computer. Like, maybe it'll trick you like once, but it's not something that you have to grind and like continuously get better. At least, I don't know. For me, it's not as satisfying when you like beat the computer. There's always some trick, right?
Right.
But it's really difficult. It was really satisfying to play. And it's actually so fun, and you get all these ridiculous combos. You get to do such ridiculous things, and it was really fun.
Yeah,
like
so
randomly. Sorry.
So for the challenge, in case people don't know, it's you have to play as one as each class, and it should take you as few tries as possible to get one win on each class. And that is, are we at 9 of 9 now for everybody, or what are you in for?
My record is 11.
11.
And that's not even that good. A lot of people have tied for 11, but all the ties make it through. I'm tied with like literally 10 people for 7, but there's like 20 of us going through.
Oh, well,
which is not bad.
Yeah, I'm like 3 of like, I don't know, maybe 15 at this point, so definitely much better than that.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to practice over and over, and then you have to get lucky. You have to attack it from like the hardest class, which is like warrior. Warrior sucks in every mode.
Is that the hardest one? That's like my first one that I tried.
Yeah.
Okay, now I feel less bad about
it.
Okay.
I got 1 for 1, but I think I got the what was it? The guy who mills your cards, and it just aggro rushed him as warrior.
Okay, that's
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, I eventually beat it because I got that treasure chest room that wasn't really a boss. It was more like a have free stuff.
Yeah. That's really rare. I've only gotten it once ever.
Oh,
and
wow.
I played that so much. Holy crap.
I know, man. I don't know how you guys like get 9 out of like Trump got 9 out of 9. You got 9 out of 11. When I go through 7 bosses and then Togwaggle shows up for the last one. I'm just like, oh, okay. it's like totally out of my hands whether I win or lose.
What does Togwaggle do?
He gets the random treasures, and he could get a random treasure and just totally blow you away.
It's about how good his random treasures are.
Yeah, it's about like what treasures he gets.
Because I'm like, all the time when I beat it, it's Toggle. Like he's my most consistent final boss. But I guess I'm high rolling.
Really lucky. Yeah. Really lucky. Because I had a really good run going, and then on turn 2, he like gets the thing that like minions choose a random side of the battlefield. And he took my 2-drop on his side. I was like, okay, whatever. And then I play more stuff, and I basically like get this insane board. And he gets that stupid the same card again, where like minions choose a side of the battlefield, and all 3 of my big creatures go to his side, and he keeps his 1 creature, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what am I supposed to do with this? And I lost, and oh my god, I think I actually rage quit my stream.
That's what dungeon runs do. There's so many big swings, and it's so okay. Just for my, I'm really curious about this. Let's say it's you, and you are a dungeon run pro at this point. Right, you're in the like top dungeon run players of Hearthstone. What's your average in Dungeon Stone? Because we know you have 9 out of 11, but like how consistent is that? What would you estimate like your average win rate is? Win being completing the whole thing. Are you able to win like more than half the time?
Yeah, definitely. I would say I could probably do it consistently at around 15, which is what I scored on like the 2nd day of trying. Because you usually get stuck on one boss like maybe twice. But if you play well, like I play really fast, and actually even on the 15 run, I probably could have done better if I just slowed it down. But as you guys know, that is not my forte.
It's not what you do.
It's not what I do. But when I was really trying, like when I got the 11 wins, I actually wasn't just roping, right? You have rope plus infinite time. So literally infinite time. And I actually slowed it down, and I caught myself on like some mistakes that I would normally make if I were just plowing through it.
That's cool. Yeah, and I can't imagine just how, like, when I saw this, I'm like, wow, I'd really like to do this if I had an extra, like, 500 hours I could devote to this. It was something in which I saw, and I immediately was like, I think this is super cool. It's going to be great. The streamers are going to like it. The viewers are going to love it. And there's no way I can participate just because you know, you do have to grind, right? It's like...
You do.
Yeah.
Or you just have to be really good.
Yeah, you could just do it the first time, right? Like 9 of 9 the first time. How hard could that be? Fresh account.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely pick up tricks and stuff, but you know, like it really is about how lucky you are too. Like if the stars align and you don't have a crappy draft, or sometimes I had like a really nutty draft, and then like I faced Ixlid, which is this boss that summons his hero power summons like a 1/1. Like extremely deadly spore. So if it hits you, then you die. So because I didn't draw something to kill it with on turns 1 and 2, I died, and I was so angry.
Wow.
Oh,
that's like a super rare boss?
It's not that rare.
Really? I've never faced that boss.
Yeah, and oh my god, it actually gave me like fledgling flashbacks. There's also Candlebeard, and like he's pretty easy when you face him early on.
Yeah, Candlebeard later on is insane.
Later on, he has a fledgling, and when that fledgling just flies at your face, I'm just oh my god, PTSD.
Banned card.
Like, yeah, finally, that was the card I pushed to get banned. I begged Mike over and over. That was like the one time I ever begged. I think Fireland's Portal meta. I begged him to fix that. I was like, this is the most ridiculous. Remember, it's just like a mage firelands your a mage firelands your drop, and then you firelands their firelands thing, and then they firelands your fire, and whoever runs out of firelands first loses.
Unless you played Hunter, in which I'm just like, you're not making it to turn 7. Yeah.
No, I remember that. That was back in the good old days when Firelands Portal was like the best card. That was not like an epic, right? Like, and it was with the offering rates where it
was 200%.
Yeah, it was 200%.
The average mage had 2.5 Firelands Portals.
And all the good epic cards had like a very low offering rate because it was before 7.1, and so now Firelands Portal is, what do we even have it on our tier list right now? It's like some really freaking low score now relative to like everything else. It's not low, I mean, it's just relative to everything else. Okay, Firelands Portal is a 157, which means it's about 57% better than the average random card. You have things like Bone Marrow 167 and like Primordial Drake 162. So Firelands Portal we have rated below Primordial Drake.
It's not S tier. I think it's fine.
Bottom S tier.
Bottom S tier, yeah.
That's not that bad. You made it sound like
no. This is what
like a fireball or something.
I mean, Fireball's rated actually higher.
Really?
Yeah. For the flexibility, it's rated higher than Firelands Portal right now. And like Polymorph is even higher just because of the minions are getting bigger.
I think a lot of people would agree that Polymorph is, because it's the minions right now are dumb. Like,
You remember back when Polymorph was like definitely worse than Fireball, like not even close.
Yeah. And now it's like you need that Polymorph, man. Fireball, it's like 6 damage. What's that gonna kill? Like
face.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, I just say Fireball's for face now. It doesn't actually count as a big removal anymore.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Fireball to make it to Hunters, man.
I mean, they pretty much have it. They have like, what else do they need?
That's
all their damage always flies to face.
That's fair. Man. But anyways, so you were saying that you picked up a lot of sort of tips and tricks for Dungeon Run by grinding it out, and then I want to know, sort of for our listeners out there, what would you recommend? Sort of like what is the wisdom of Hafu when it comes to Dungeon Runs? Like which artifacts should they pick? Sort of what are some things to watch out for?
Captured Flag is hands down the best, like passive. It's just insane. And I've only gotten...
Which one is that?
Yeah,
Captured Flag is +1/+1. All your minions have +1/+1.
Really? Wait, yeah. Why is that one so good?
Well, it's at least 1 free tempo every turn if you play 1 minion, right? Considering the other ones are usually and it's card advantage. Yeah, it's just a lot of like macro tokens. Levels.
Okay.
Your tokens are like okay. So I played one of the easiest 8 or like full clears I had. I had Captured Flag and I had Justicar's Ring on Paladin. So turn 1, it's for 1 mana hero power, right? And I get 2/2/2s. And then I could play a 2-drop, but why would I do that? I just spend 1 mana and press my hero power again. 2/2/2s, right? Like literally just press that button and you win. And I've only gotten it twice, but you can get double Captured Flag and all your minions have +2/+2.
Wow.
It was a hunter run and like unleash, like 3/3 unleashes. I mean, just think about that. Or like I had Rat Pack. It was a 4/4 Rat Pack, and when it died, it summoned 4 3/3s. Like, I mean, think about Spellstone. That's a hunter Spellstone. The max Spellstone in a freaking 3-drop that already had a 4/4 bot. Just just like the power level of that is silly. It's just not. It's not what the game's supposed to be.
So is that like an always pick?
I always pick it. I want to say I have never passed +1/+1 because in any situation, like I've played Milrogue, that's like the one that I like playing the most, and it sounds trolly to go like Milrogue in dungeon, but it's actually really strong because like bosses don't know what to do when you're milling them. Or you play Mukla and they like don't know what to do.
I really like the orb artifact that discards cards for them and destroys 2 of their mana because it just messes up their game plan. Yeah. It's the same idea where if you're disrupting the boss somehow, they don't perform very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also knowing like what AIs will target most, you can kind of like get them to play into what you want them to do because they're not like a reasonable human. Mm-hmm. They will always target certain things. So you can get like them to trade their like ridiculous creature, like unfair creature, into your like shitty little thing because you just know that they'll like have to kill it. Like AIs always target like Vicious Fledgling. Like, it's just like programmed in there. But it's just fine with me because that card always needs to die. But you can always get like them to do ridiculously bad trades. Like I beat this turn 1, they summoned a random legendary and he got Tyrantus on turn 1.
Oh
wow.
Just 12/12 and I don't have removal for it. But like I would just throw out minions and actually got her to trade a few times, which let me catch back up and win. Whereas, if you play against a human and they have turn 1 12/12 on the board, you're dead. Like that thing's going face and you're just dead.
Depends on the human that you have. I have seen things where
no, come on, yes. Turn 1 Tormentus. They're not trading into your 1-drop.
I have seen hunters take bad trades on me on turns 2, 3, and 4. Where like I have like a 3/3 and they trade a 4/3 into it, like without having anything to protect. In not like horrible ratings either, like 2/2 and stuff like that. And that's always been one of those things, right? Where and we were talking about this before the stream about Arena and the new like hunter dominance and wandering monster, right? That's always a topic that whenever I get faced with it in a draft, people are like, "Why is it rated so low?" I could take a look at where we have it rated, but it's pretty low compared to the other traps, right? Like we're not trap haters, especially hunter traps. Freezing trap is a 154, snake trap's a 141. Like our traps are pretty high. Especially in Hunter. But Wandering Monsters at 85. That's like 15% below the average card. Yetis are like 110. So it's like quite significantly below. You're basically not advised to take it. and everyone comes with these stories about how great they are. And at the end, I think it's really just because people play like they don't play around it yet. They'll throw crappy things into it. They'll give you additional drops, or they'll play around it too much. But like overall, it's
that's interesting because you do still have to test because there's freezing and other things.
Well, you could test other stuff on the board. It's the face one. You don't know that or explosive trap. That's like the trick, right? Like at the point where you want to go face with like something with 3 health, you can't do that anymore.
Sure, fair. Yeah, I haven't played against it or with it enough, and I've actually drafted it a few times. But for some reason, like every time I draft it, it just never. It's like a card that I didn't know was in my draft. You know, like I play it once, I'm like, oh yeah.
You know, like every Lich King I've ever drafted.
Yeah, I hate that. You're so excited to play one card, you just never see it ever. You're like, don't you want to mulligan it away? You're like, wait, no, just let me have this one time. But,
yeah, yesterday I drafted a Keleseth deck. I never I played
like a
it
full
Keleseth
deck.
No, it got ruined by one Wrath. I had no choice. It was like Wrath 2-drop, 2-drop. I'm like, God, I hate life right now. But no, during the entire run, I wasn't able to get the Keleseth effect off like once. Like aggressively mulligan for it, it just never worked out. I'm just like, I hate this game.
Yeah.
Why do I even do this?
And things don't work out.
Oh gosh. But all right. So I think that's the.
No, I have one more dungeon run question for Hafu.
Oh, okay.
If you want to move on from dungeon run, I don't want to move. I know we kind of got into arena. We always kind of get back to arena, but
I know I kind of want to talk arena.
I have a dungeon run question, just because I find it difficult to evaluate this. But you have much more experience with all the bosses in that. How good is the one that makes your opponent's minions cost 1 extra?
It's not that good for the final boss because like a lot of them have just too many spells. But if you double stack them, it's a bit better, especially against like Azari, who kind of plays like a demon lock. So if you're disrupting a lot of their early turns, it's not bad. Especially because you really do have to rush Azari down since you don't have that much time. But I've found that like you really need to get like Scepter with like ridiculous big stuff, or you need like a battle cry with like Jade and stuff. You need that really unfair stuff to kind of beat the last boss consistently. Otherwise, you just need to net draw them. Like, you know, if you get like the ridiculous treasures and you pull them on the first turn, right? You get the Wondrous Wand or something, or like Boost of Haste, right? Like, and you get to play. If you get to play an unfair card, then of course you're gonna be in a lot better shape. But to do it consistently, I found that like just go super greedy, like Scepter of Summoning big ass creatures, and just kind of hope that you play well enough to get through bosses before that.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've seen. Like, if you want to beat a run, like you can just keep on sort of punching the wall and just saying like, I'm gonna get a crazy combo, I'm gonna get a crazy deck at some point, I'm gonna be able to beat it. But I'm just like super impressed with all the scores that people are posting because it's really like you could just get screwed by RNG so easily, right?
You do quite often, but like I said, you start abusing like almost like tells based off of how AIs always play, and you can kind of start predicting things and baiting things out. Like even if it's not an optimal answer, they'll still like entomb like a crappy drop, or like the darkness. It's really about outlasting. You can't really rush them down that often because their entire deck is just removal. It's like double Nether, double Psychic Scream, double Entomb, double Mind Control. But once you know all the answers, right, you can kind of like bait them out and kind of abuse it. Whereas like the first time you're playing it, I mean, just imagine, right? You're playing arena against this guy with double everything. Like you're gonna lose because you just don't expect it. But when you know every card that the boss has, which you do, it's the same cards every time. Yeah. Minus like Togwaggle.
And it's usually like a small card pool, right? It's not like that difficult to memorize the boss's cards.
Yeah, it's a very small card pool, and I mean you don't have to know every like minion, right? All the minions seem pretty irrelevant. It's mostly just like the removal cards, the spells that you have to watch out for, the answers, and yeah, it's not that bad.
Cool. All right. So, Aditya, did you have any more questions?
No, that was my question. I need it because I promised the stream that every time after the arena coup, you know, when I usually stream, I am going to do dungeon runs until I beat all 9 bosses. So I want some tips so I don't fail again.
Well, I saw some of your runs. They were
oh god, you're gonna help me tonight, right? Because we're doing this tonight, and you're gonna be around tonight actually. So I'm gonna get some help on this one.
I mean, I gotta wake up early to travel. Okay, so you got beat by AFK, which I think is
I didn't know what
sad.
AFK was gonna do, and everyone in the stream was like, "Don't tell him." I'm like, I assume something bad's gonna happen. I don't know what kind of bad thing's gonna happen or when, right? Like, you don't know when she wakes up.
Turn 6.
Yep, turn 6.
Turn 6.
All right, so that was that was cool. Dungeon run, which is something that like out of 10 I know very little about, but good luck during the next round. So I want to talk about Arena, but I think the first thing we should mention is you haven't been playing that much, right?
Hey, how many runs have you guys each done?
Okay, all right.
I've done more than you two.
I mean, obviously you're gonna do more than us. Come on.
I've done 15 runs since expansion.
Not
many.
I think I've done about 15 runs. I think we're about equal, and I have never been able to say any number within like a quarter of your number.
Yeah.
At this point of an expansion.
I've always been in love with Arena, right? Something I always go back to. I always miss. Like I'll play Constructed for like 3 days, but then I'm playing Arena for 27 of the other days, right? And each Arena day, you know, I can pump out like 6 runs because that's just like how much I play. But it feels like I had so much fun the first day of expansion. I played Arena and like time just flew. I just had so much fun with all the new cards, drafting, trying these stuff out. And then once I went to Dungeons and went back to Arena, none of it was fun. It was just like so basic. Like everything just felt so basic. Like there's no excitement, and like it never felt like I got outplayed, which to be fair, it very rarely feels like I get outplayed when I play Arena.
Yeah.
But it always felt like in Dungeons that I had a little bit more control, and that when I lost, even if it was a little bit.
Are you really gonna say you feel like you get outplayed sometimes in Dungeons?
Yeah, I feel like I could do better. Like
Okay.
there are decisions in ways that I could play or mulligan or draft that, you know, I could do better.
Okay.
Whereas in Arena, it's like just not in your control at all. And I feel like I just have this like awakening, I guess, from the Dungeons.
You know what? I think that's okay. So during my stream last night, I was like talking to my stream about this as well. I was like, this is the way I feel, and I don't know if other people feel the same way, but so I drafted a priest, and so often I'm just like during the 3 losses, after I lost, I'm like, could I have done anything different? I'm like, maybe I could have eked out like a small advantage here, small advantage there, but that's what I was doing the entire game, eking out small advantage here and there. But at no point of the game could I have like totally flipped a switch, gone face, or, you know, done something dramatically different. And then, you know, their like Psychic Scream or their whatever, you know, Flame Strike would have just knocked out that small advantage anyways. And after the 2.5-hour run, I'm just like, okay, well, you know, it felt so empty. I'm like, what did this teach me? Like, I got beat by 3 better decks. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like, it felt really bad. Like the worst I felt in a long time, because when I got beat, I'm like, all right, well, that kind of sucked. And when I won, I don't know. I just like, yeah, I think I made some better decisions, but the losses feel so crushing now. Like, I don't know.
It's because they're so much longer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about your games, but I know that I personally draft ridiculously greedy. And when I say ridiculous, I mean like Devour Mind, double Thought Steal with like, you know, like just things I would never do before. And I'm just sitting there with just like every card that makes another card I pick, because I know that I can just like out advantage them, you know? Yeah. And it just feels like you can play greedy enough, and the minions are so ridiculous that like one hungry Etten is gonna just tank their entire board.
Yes.
You know? And I just will draft like I mean, I've always liked Divine Spirit, but it's like even better in this meta, right? Because there's so many beefy taunts. Put a Divine Spirit on Hungry Ed, that thing you win. The game's over. Or like on a Sleepy Dragon, right? And it just feels kind of silly. Like I'm not drafting 2s or 3s. I'm very often just passing those turns.
2s
or like
and
Thought
3s?
Stealing on 3. Like, I generally have 3s because there's a lot of good 3s.
There's a lot of 3s
like,
in the meta. I think you just default into good 3s, even if you're only picking the the top tier.
Like, oh man, a 3-mana 4/4, pretty much like 1 for 3 is for you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, like I feel like I can thought steal on turn 3 and get away with it. And it just feels like kind of a stupid meta where it's like, oh, I hope I get lucky with my random stuff. And I hope their deck is good because I'm taking it. And like the games will drag on to like 15, 16 turns.
Yeah.
You know?
The game
Seems like
speed
such a
has
grind.
definitely slowed down. I found like I usually was able to do like 2.5, maybe even 3 runs in a stream. And now we've extended the stream times by a half hour, and I'm like barely able to squeeze 2 in if they're like going relatively well.
Yeah. I don't know. I just it doesn't feel as fulfilling. I sat there after I finished the dungeons. Like I finished it and I went back to arena and I expected to have a lot of fun. And like I was winning. I went like 12 and then like 8 and then 12 again. And like you know, it wasn't like I was salty or anything. It was just like
well, it's almost better when you're salty, right? From what you were saying, like because I mean, you phrased it like you know, it was like outside of my control, and I was in the arena when I lose. But in dungeon runs, it felt like it was in your control, right? Like you're saying you didn't get outplayed, but what you mean is you could improve on yourself in dungeon because you haven't mastered the whole like thing yet. You don't know what exactly every right decision is, and if you slow down, even you can you know, and there's infinite time, you can come to better decisions and be a better player. Whereas in arena, either sometimes you're just at like a 49% or 51%, which one is the better like choice to be made, or you've just faced a similar scenario so many times in all the like millions of arena runs that you've done that you know, you're like, oh, this is what this run does given these opponents and this draw.
Yeah, it kind of feels bad that because arena, I don't want to not like it anymore, and also like 30 runs, like part of me just wants to finish the 30 runs and just make the leaderboard because I've never not made it. I didn't make it for the dual arenas. I also wasn't really home like for those 2 weeks. But like aside from that, I've always made the leaderboard. I've always prided myself to always make it. And it's almost like a pride thing. Like, can I just suck it up? I have like 8 days. I could do it. I mean, 15 runs in 8 days. I don't know. It's not, is it really worth it? Like, if I
maybe you'll re-find your love of the arena, you know, after Blizzard micro adjusted the hunters down, and who knows what they did with Priest.
I mean, like I said, I'm winning. Like all my scores have been good. I have 2 out of the 15 rounds. I'm looking at it now. I have 2 5s, 1 6, 1 7, 2 8s, and everything else is 9 through 12, mostly 10s and 12s.
Yeah, but the meta may change.
Ridiculously good scores. So it's not like I'm salty or like feeling like, I don't know, it just feels like the meta isn't that fun. And
that's what I mean,
can
though.
You even play warrior anymore? Can you play shaman? Okay. I try to play shaman.
Shaman was actually so that's actually fair. I feel like me and Merps have sucked at shaman for almost a full year now. Not quite a full year, but almost. Since 7.1, we've sucked at shaman, both of us.
I remember Merps and I went 12 on shaman.
That's because it was you. You are able to go 12 on shaman. Like, what?
Dude, Unstable Evolution is so... Okay, I had fun on one run recently, and I had Unstable Evolution and Evolve. Unstable Evolution is the most fun. Oh my god, that card is great. Have you guys played that at all?
I haven't had the luxury of drafting that. I played actually quite a decent amount of Shaman for, you know, compared to what I usually do in this expansion, because I've had this like theory that Shaman was actually good in this expansion, even though they didn't get like necessarily the best cards, just because of how the meta was playing out. And I wasn't right for me, because I just lost a lot, as usual with Shaman. But
no, Shaman's bad. It's like bottom, like right above Warrior, I would say.
For HS replay stats, but in the Chinese meta, Shaman was actually number 5 of all the classes. So, and they're using the same cards with the same presumably offering rates. They actually get their adjustments, I think, before we do. I think that's the theory right now. Whereas like they adjust the micro adjust in China servers before they adjust the micro adjust servers in all the other servers. Because there's something going on where our win rates just keep matching China's win rates like a week or two after it happens for like the average players. So I don't know what's been happening, but they released Chinese stats a bit ago, and it was interesting how Shaman was not terrible the way it seems to be here, and Warrior was also not terrible there. Warrior's horrible here.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Yeah,
the fact that Warriors can be good at all.
I mean,
not good, just like
I've always made every class work, right? Like I feel like I've never shied away from. I actually shy away from the top classes more than anything.
Right.
But I've always like been super gung ho to play like warrior and shaman and priest, which are like always bottom 3. I mean, not this meta. Priest is like insane, but I mean, shaman and warrior. I feel like I've played that more than most other arena streamers. I don't know, because it's fun. But like even I am unwilling to even test out warrior. I haven't played a single warrior on this expansion.
It's not that bad right now.
It looks terrible.
It was no.
The cards are terrible, but they micro adjust everything up. Like
okay, but
you have all the bone mares. Yeah, but the new cards suck. You don't want to play with the new cards. You want your bone mares and you want your primordial drakes.
I went and I looked at the new cards. I was like, oh, what did hunters get? Or sorry, what did warriors get this expansion? And I went to look at the new cards, and I was like, huh, and I'm not gonna touch that class. Like there wasn't a single card that I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one. Like not one card.
Yep.
Well, and the problem is, okay, so they micro-adjusted hunters, and hunters like were super happy because the micro-adjust worked out for them beautifully. And then they micro-adjusted for warriors, which means they're like, hey, do you want your 3rd gore howl? And I'm just like, no, I really can't. Like, I don't have enough like turns. I don't have enough hands for all of these weapons. So what they did for micro-adjust, like it seems to me, and like I think they just did this. They're like, Arcanite Reaper is a good card. Fool's Bane is a good card. Gorehow is a good card. We're gonna offer you like 5 in each draft. So it's like routinely I would go to like pick 10 and I already had 4 weapons. I'm like, okay, this draft sucks now. Like it was good, and then it really sucked. And then I was like, okay, well, I just can't take any weapons now. So all these good cards that they're micro adjusting to offer me, it's like, take this Fool's Bane, you'll love it. It's an amazing card. I'm like, yeah, but it's not like it's not like you know, just a solid card like that I can take as many as I want. So yeah, it ended up making warriors like still not good, even though they tried really hard to give them good cards.
I mean, yeah, I think the problem with arena, and this has always been the problem to be honest, is there's not enough reward for doing well. Getting 12 is not that rewarding. Making the leaderboard is not that rewarding. So it just feels like a new grind every month for nothing. And that's actually why I stopped playing constructed as well. It's like, okay, I'm legend. Sick. Right? Like that's it. So I was like, wow, legend.
Well, what's the reward for playing dungeon runs? You don't even get gold and packs or anything.
$30,000.
Yeah, $30,000. And pride, knowing that like that's what was fun. Same with 110. Same with any time I have a bet with like Maz. That's like what makes it fun. I have a purpose to try, a purpose to win, right? Like I don't care about the $30,000. I mean, like the prize pool matters because it makes everyone else care about it. But the fact that like Crip is going for it, Amaz is going for it, Trump is going for it, Toast is going for it, everyone is trying for this thing, and I want to try too. I want to see if I can, you know, do as well as them or better. That's like what makes it fun for me. The competition, not the whatever we're playing for, you know, like whatever we're playing for. But because there's no reward, no one actually gives. Do you swear on this? No one gives a shit about arena leaderboard.
That like, swear has totally lost all of its meaning with like the 5-second pause before.
Sorry, but just no one cares about arena leaderboard. It doesn't matter if you do well. I got 6th last month playing like for the first week of November, and that's it. I did my 20 runs. I got 6. Freaking Dred's got 5th. Had to one up me again. But you know, like it doesn't matter though. Like, woo, got top 10. Nice, right? Like, it doesn't.
Okay. Yeah. So let me ask, as someone who has been on the leaderboard every single month, as you know, from episode 5, Lord of the Arena, like, what would it take for you to care about Arena again? Because it sounds like it's not just about the meta. It's not just about the cards. It's part of it is just like the overall format of the arena.
Yeah. I think it's just like, it wasn't even what dungeons were, but because it was like something fun to compete in again. I've been kind of like competing, right? Like I've been doing like, I did this Amazon Champions of Fire thing recently. It's gonna be on TV on the 30th ad, by the way. But like I did quite well. I got 2nd there, and I played in like a few poker things recently and did really well in those as well. And just like had a taste of competing again. And so I think the dungeon thing kind of like reignited that as well. And I forgot that like I could do that in Hearthstone. So maybe.
Oh my gosh, it's so sad.
Yeah, because it just it doesn't feel like anything when I play. And so maybe that's why I want to play constructed again, and where it feels like it's worth something, and it feels like I can like strive to improve for a goal. Like, what is the point of being the best arena player?
Question to you, number one in a MERPS.
Yeah, look, I got nothing out of it, and all I got out of it was people being like, "Hey, when are you gonna do it again?" I'm like, "Wait, what?" No, seriously, people come on the chat and they're like, "Hey, that was great, but that was a while ago. Are you gonna like be number one anytime soon?" Like, I'm just like, "Wait, what? Wait, like." I was like, I haven't seen any benefits. All I've seen is like additional pressure and people being like, "Oh, dude, that was a while ago. Like, what have you done for us recently here?" No, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, I view the leaderboard as a burden. You know, it's not like in constructed, in which you go to tournaments, you rack up points and whatever, and there's like a large goal as well, right? Like, there's mini goals and there's a big goal of being like world champion at constructed. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the leaderboard was something we talked about I think we talked about it during your first appearance here. We're like, oh, what would be cool? It's like, oh, let's have a leaderboard. And it's a step in the right direction, but it's sort of like, we need more. Like, we need a bit more, like something to further legitimize arena, and also something to get people to actually compete, because we're far from the point where it's like, the novelty factor is gone, right? And now we just see this as like, okay, it exists for the purpose of existing. There's nothing more to it, and any sort of value you derive from it, that comes from solely you. It doesn't come from Blizzard. It just comes from your own sense of
your own imagination, and I don't know, like, it's a game, guys. I'm going to come with a counterpoint here, right? On the super serious... I'm usually the serious one, but I'm going to come with a counterpoint here on the super serious tone this is taken. Which is that, like Hafu was saying, right? Like, she can make her dungeon runs better. And that's a driving force. Like, part of it is the competition. Part of it is that she can actually do something to impact the game. Well, I think for most players, like, they're at a place right now where they can get better in the arena, like, and they can notice the results of getting better in the arena. And especially when a new expansion comes out, that's like prime time to like experiment with something, to like figure something out, to play around with your wandering monsters better than all the opponents you see, like, whatever, right? To like laugh in people's faces when Keening Banshee stays alive for 10 turns because your opponent just decided to try to mill you, even though you control the mill. Like that kind of stuff, right? I still think it's fun. I actually think this is one of the, I wouldn't say like the best metas, but it's one of the ones in which I find most interesting. And I think it's getting better week by week, because, like you guys are talking about, right? What were your worst experiences playing Priest? Like, both of you had the Priest story. It was uncanny, and it was completely expected. Not because Priest is bad, but just because that's when it feels the most out of your control, when you're playing with Priest or against Priest. Because that's how the class is designed in the arena, right? You have the cards that counter all the other cards. You have cards that counter literally everything. So it's whether you get them and you draw them and your opponent plays into them. Hunter is very similar, except when you play as Hunter, you're the one in control. When you play against Hunter, kind of not really the one in control, and your opponent is. But now they've adjusted Hunter down. So there's been a round of micro adjust somewhere. Merps, do you have the stats for that? I think Hunter's win rate went down from like 56% to 57%.
To 52. Like, in the span of 12 hours. And I don't know if it moved after that. But I know in the span of 12 hours, the Hunter win rate went from 57%, which is like really, really high. For those of you not aware, like 57% is extraordinarily
it's as high as it goes.
High.
It's like rogue dominance meta, paladin dominance. Like, whenever you think about a class completely destroying the arena, that's where Hunter was, and everyone felt it.
And in the span of 12 hours, it went down to 52%, which is like just like good
normal
level. Yeah, just like normal level. And I mean, it basically heavily points towards micro adjustments. It's like, where there's smoke, there's fire. This is like just a field of smoke, like it would be
toasty.
Yes, thank you for that. It would just be ridiculous to assume that there haven't been micro adjustments. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's changed, and we'll continue to see if, you know, what the impact is, like if they did stuff with like rogues or mages, which were pretty underwhelming in this meta.
I thought they were fine, but and I don't think they want to touch it. I think if anything, they're going to go up because other things are going to go down. Like I doubt Blizzard touched it too much. But just my personal tip to people who are in the arena right now is to, like, if you hear all this pessimism coming from our special guest Hafu and #1 NA Merbs or whatever, they're in a different league right now in terms of how they're approaching like the arena. And if you're in the part like below that level, like, I don't know, you can still have, I think, plenty of fun and improvement in the arena, but it's still, it brings out the problem, right? Which is that you get to a certain point and there's no end game in the arena. The end game in arena is leaderboard. And
wouldn't you say the majority of your viewers are more in our league, like who play arena quite often? Like the arena community is quite small, right?
It's small. They probably play it as frequently, but I don't know if they're at the point where they're, you know, many of them are, but they're not at the point where they're like, oh, getting on the leaderboard is boring. Like, they're like, oh, it would be really nice to make the leaderboard. Or like, I made the leaderboard at 120 last time. Maybe I could do like number 50 this time.
Right. Like, I definitely think that, you know, if you have goals for yourself, there's value. But I'm saying, like, if you've attained those, like, I've never gotten #1. I got #2 once. Freaking chalky. How good now? Like, why? Why? Just let me have it one time, man. But yeah, I've never got #1. But it also doesn't feel like if I achieve that, it would change anything at all.
No, my life still sucks a ton.
I guess like I know that's not true for in constructed, and maybe I don't know why I'm like suddenly seeing the light. I really do think it's like from the dungeons.
Yeah.
Just like having that taste of like competing against like everyone else.
It's the big leagues. Arena has no league. Arena has like they actually tell you how you perform. That's how far they've gotten in terms of competitiveness. It used to be they didn't even tell you how well you perform. Now they tell you how well you perform.
I actually had fun going for leaderboards when like Crip was trying, but like as like Crip and Trump and Amaz stopped trying for them, it like lost value for me as well. Like Amaz challenged me to bet this month. And I said yes, and then he backed out of it right away, like the day after. He's like, I'm going to play a lot of dungeon runs and construct it this month. I said, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
But if he had taken the bet, like, of course I would, you know, go for it and play. But now that I have no bet to go for, I don't know. So 15 runs is a lot of time, and that's like 30 hours, right? Like, we just talked about how slow the meta is, and I play very fast. But that's like 30 hours.
So Merps was asking, what does it take to get Hafu back in the arena? Now we know it's a bet. Putting money on the line.
It doesn't have to be money. It's just like it's never about the money, but it's about the pride, right?
And I think something interesting you mentioned. It is sort of a critical mass, right? And we've gotten to the point where, like, you know, like Crip has sort of just dropped out, right? Or like he doesn't care as much. Like a lot of people don't care as much, and without like a lot of the people who care that much and they're not competing a lot, like it makes me also sort of like not as motivated. I know it certainly doesn't make you as motivated. Like if everyone like just decided in December, all right, all of us are try-harding arena, like I think it would also sort of make you want to try hard as well.
Definitely.
Because you see the competition there and you're a very competitive person. But right now it's just sort of like probably with the speed of the meta and people sort of dislike of the meta, and with people sort of turning attention to everything else, it's like everything is sort of taking people away from it. And then every sort of high profile arena player who is not doing the leaderboard takes away from sort of the pizzazz of it, like the appeal of it, right? Like people don't, they're not able to say like, hey, I beat Hafu, I beat Crip while they were trying hard for the leaderboard, like because they want to be able to say that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this is going, like, because I don't see them developing. And I mean, I have no idea. But
I mean, if they just came out with like a card back for top 100 or like #1, just like that'd be cool. If only the #1 player.
And they make it retroactive.
That's fine. I don't care. But just I mean, that's cool, right? Tell me that's cool.
That is cool. I mean, I'd be okay with it.
Top 20. I don't care what they do.
It's
But
just
like,
gonna be,
or card back.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just gonna be Blizzard telling you again, you know, putting the pressure on. Why not in the last 6 months? July was a long time ago.
I mean, if they came out with it like next month, I'd be thrilled. Like, I wouldn't care. Everyone would start over again. Or like they give top 10, 20 card packs. Something, just something small, or you know, anything.
Yeah, I think. Look, the
A
biggest
star
thing.
next to your name.
A star next to your name, that would do it.
Star. I don't know, something.
Okay. I don't know if that would be enough for everyone, but good to know that is enough for Hafu. Man, I would love if they actually did like made the leaderboard a stepping stone for something else, right? Like if there was a big tournament or there was something in which it made the leaderboard matter, or you know, it doesn't have to be tied to the leaderboard, like just something else to make the arena matter. That would be great. But yeah, as of right now, because I think one of the problems is as we go on, and you know, we say the meta for this expansion, or at least the meta right now with these, you know, micro adjusts or whatever, is not that fun. It's a little bit too long, and then maybe the next expansion will be better in terms of micro adjustments or cards. But the format, I don't think, is going to change. And the longer the format doesn't change, I think the more bored people will be, right?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure, but like they've always asked questions about like, what do you think about these formats? Because I've definitely mentioned to Mike and XR that like the Shadowverse, like choose two, that's like you choose between two sets of two, is really cool. Like imagine if you have to pick between two sets of two in Hearthstone, and you have to take. You can get the Bone Mare if you take the Ancient Watcher, you know, like, or do you take?
No, gosh.
I mean, they work together, right?
Yeah, they considered. Hey, turn 9. You got a great turn 9.
I'm just saying that like, you do have to make these decisions that like, it's harder for, I mean, a tier list to tell you what's correct. That kind of rewards you for drafting, whereas I feel like a lot of that
I will say this: a tier list may not be able to tell you that, but then you make an algorithm and it'll do the same exact thing.
Sure, but it won't work as perfectly, right?
Very similar. Like
the more complex you make it, the more complex you make choices. Like it's just not perfect.
So we're at the point right now where like let's say they swapped hero powers on us, right? Like in the dual arenas things, that within 5 hours we had the entire tier list, you know, translated basically into all the dual classes, added 71 classes. Like the UI work was more than the actual algorithm work to do the tier list. So it's a game, right? Like once we built the pieces into the system, if you're using the same pieces and just moving them around, like you can change the size of the deck, you can change like all sorts of random things in it. We just tweak some numbers and then we're back. So I don't know if it makes it'll definitely make it more interesting to think about, and it'll make for, I think more important than that, and this is what Dungeon Run really got right, which is it'll make for more archetyped decks that are not just like faster or slower or bigger or smaller. It'll make for things like, I'm a shaman, I'm going to go with totem shaman, right? It'll say like, hey, I have this artifact to start or this particular ability or whatever. I will now draft this type of deck. And instead of, you know, taking the risk to do it, if I have packs of 3, like they do in Dungeon Run, we get this idea with the people in chat bringing it up all the time. Do you think arena drafting should be in those kinds of bundles? And like, yeah, you'll see a lot more interesting decks in the arena if they come drafted in bundles, right? Because that makes it much more easy for you to get like, let's say 2 or 3 elemental packs in a draft, rather than here where every elemental you pick you could get screwed if you're picking it just because it's elemental, and you never know if you're gonna get the synergies. So I do think it's a better system than just 1 by 1 in terms of making the arena more dynamic and more exciting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think Dungeon Run has this limited thing, right? Like everybody was really into Dungeon Run. It's a super fun game mode, and it just shows that there's so much unexplored space for Blizzard in Hearthstone in the limited space, because all they've had essentially is arena, and Brawl is just crazy random stuff. It's not like it's hard to take super seriously because they don't allow you to. So if they do anything, like we talk about arena because that is the Hearthstone limited competitive mode, and it's
Okay.
you know, they're not supported competitively really, and they're doing stuff with it and tweaking it, but it's not like quite, you know, getting to the right spot. It's been a long time, and who knows. But it doesn't even matter if it's arena. It could just be any kind of limited thing that they support in a competitive way, and that'll completely shake up like the entirety of like the Hearthstone competitive scene, I think, because it's not like we're gonna be the arena players are gonna be the only ones playing this new limited format. Like the constructed players, if you have a support system for it, they're a very large percentage of them, I think, are going to also be limited players.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, man, this is I don't know. Like, it kind of sucks that you came on and then you're just like, yeah, I'm not playing arena that much because of X, Y, and Z. I'm like, oh my god, I relate to everything you just said. No. It was a very eye-opening experience because I'm just like, oh my god, I agree with X, Y, and Z. Like everything. It was like a very mind-opening kind of thing for me. But I don't know, like maybe I think Adulta is right. And I don't say this often, okay?
I was about to say, what's coming after this?
Yeah, I don't like how this is like being recorded and it's memorialized now. But maybe it is just because, you know, like the games that I don't like, I'm just not supposed to like, right? Like priest versus priest matchups. Yeah. And I guess that's fine, but I don't know. It's felt really bad recently. And maybe it's also because it's like winter and I'm a Grinch as well. And I just need like a pick-me-up.
Maybe it's because in the latest round of cards, you actually didn't hate on as many cards as you usually do, and raised alarm bells.
Boring. It has been a pretty boring expansion.
It has been. It's been a pretty boring expansion in terms of new cards. That is
Unstable
undeniable.
Evolution is super fun.
By the way, do you agree with this? We have Unstable Evolution as the highest card in Shaman. Do you agree with that?
Other possibilities are Fire Ellie, Hammer of Twilight, Volcano, Hex, Jade Claws, Lightning Storm, Crushing Hand. Shaman got two good ones.
Like Unstable Evolution is the highest among all of those.
You think Volcano is like better than like very basic one. Is Volcano better than Hex?
Yes. What? Easily. Like people play around like single target things, but they'll like stagger the board, right? And Volcano, like how the hell do you? It's really hard to play around that much. And you can usually like bait them into trading and then play Volcano and then you just win. Volcano is like, I don't know. I see a Volcano draft Volcano. It's really good.
Okay.
I see an Evolve, I draft an Evolve as well. But that's because I just love that card. But but I was gonna say the meta in Arena is pretty boring, but the meta in Constructed is actually really hilarious and fun. And I'd want to see you guys play it. Because there's like insane combo decks. Like it's fun. Combo decks are fun. Because you're playing to like a win condition. It's not just like I'm building 14 Shades.
Okay, wait. Sell us on this. Tell us about your enjoyment of this.
Top three decks right now.
Okay, I'm playing. Of course, I started off with Evolve Shaman with Unstable Evolution. It's just hilarious. Like, the best thing about Unstable Evolution is like you're evolving something and you go from like a Kor'kron Elite and then you go into a Doomguard and then you go into like you just keep ramping up. Like the charge, you can charge, hit, face, and then evolve. I remember I had a game today where I had a Charger and then I evolved it up to a King Crush and I killed him with King Crush. Just like it's just hilarious. It's great. But okay, that deck sucks. The good decks. Q Block is like a tier 1 deck, and basically it runs Possessed Lackey, which is the 5-mana 2/2 that recruits a demon when it dies, right? Death Rattle. And you run 2 of those. You run 2 Doom Guards and 2 Void Lords, so you only have 4 demons in the entire deck. And so you get your Doom Guards out through the Possessed Lackey, or you have the Skull, which is like the Warlock weapon. When you equip it at the start of your turn, you summon a demon from your hand, a random demon from your hand.
But you only have 4 demons.
Right. But you have 2 Possessed Lackeys as well.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Trust me, the consistency is insane because you're a Warlock. So you're just playing like cycle cards. Yeah. And you just tap, and then you have infinite heal. Okay. So you have a Doomguard. At some point you have a Doomguard rushing their face. You cube the Doom Guard, and then so it's already done 5 damage. You cube the Doom Guard, and you can faceless the cube if you want. And each of those cubes have 2 Doom Guards in them. You can like dark pack them, which kills your cube, heals you for 8, and then you have 2 more Doom Guards rushing at their face. They deal with that, right?
Wait. You can cube a cube?
No. You keep the Doom Guard, and then you destroy your cube.
And you destroy. Okay. For a second, I thought you said you use your second cube to cube the first cube, and I was like, whoa.
No, you can faceless. You can faceless the
You can
first cube.
faceless the cube. Okay.
Or in the version I'm playing, you have like the 3-mana Prince, which if you have no other 3-drops, you can actually. That's like a mini faceless as well. So you can cube it, and then you can like Prince your cube. Oh my god. Anyway, they deal with like 8 Doom Guards at this point, right? Like there's a million Doom Guards just flying at them, and they still clear it because it's constructed as bullshit. And then you play Gul'dan, and you just summon like 7 Doom Guards. And they just go face. It's so fun. Okay, so that's the first deck, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And like aggro can't kill you because you have infinite healing. You have Defiles. You have Hellfires. You have like Amethyst Spellstones. You're just healing up a bajillion. And then you have like Void Lords, so they're not gonna touch you because, I mean, that thing is just a wall. Anyway. The other really fun deck is Big Druid, which is like not even Big Druid. It's a Quest Druid. I don't know if
what
you know
does the Druid Quest do?
Okay, it's if you summon 5 minions, 5 attack or more, like that have at least 5 attack. You get Barnabas, which is the 5-mana 8/8. That the battle cry is it turns your minions in your deck like their cost to 0. And so it's really consistent because of the new card Cursed Disciple, which is a 4-mana 5/1 with the death rattle, because each of those count as 2, right? Like when it dies.
Oh, you only have to summon them, not play them, huh?
Yeah. So like each of those, unless they silence it, counts as 2 each. Right. And they only play those 2 as 4 drops and below. Everything else is ramp. And then you have what is it, like something like it's a 4-mana spell that sorry, I'm really bad at names.
Oaken Summons?
Oaken Summons.
Yeah.
6 armor, and you recruit a minion 4 or less. So that will only pull out your Cursed Disciples. So essentially, even though you only have 2 of them, you have 4 because you need those. And then okay, so you have that. Like that's how you're getting your quest out. Once you complete the quest, you play it. You have Kun, Mali, double Slave, double Moonfire, and double Faceless. So with like a bunch of different ways, you can get like, you just cheat mana. You're just cheating like 20 mana. It's so much fun.
Wait. So obviously the quest has been out before. So you're telling me the reason it didn't work was because Druid didn't have like Cursed Disciple. So you give him
Disciple and the Oaken, right?
Okay.
For the consistency.
It's so much more consistent. And they got the new weapon, the Druid weapon.
Oh, Twig.
Okay, so you can equip the Twig, and you run a Medivh.
To kill your Twig.
So if your Medivh costs 0, you can break your Twig. You can use all your mana, and then you Medivh, and you equip the new weapon. Like it breaks the Twig, and you have 10 more mana, right? And then you can use all that mana, and then you play Kun for 0 mana, refresh your crystals, and then keep going. Like I've had combos where I'm doing like 50 damage in 1 turn. Like, what are you gonna do? Nothing. Just die. Like, you get up to the 3 Malagos. Like, 3 Malagos is what? It's a 16 damage Moonfire. Like, dude, just think about that.
Hafu, I still get excited when I hit a +1/+1 on a Murloc off my Zubat.
Oh, that is so nice.
This is like real different level that we're talking about here.
I think if you try it, it's one of those things you try and you're like, oh my god, it just feels so good because you're kind of building to this this combo, and it's just ridiculous and it's hilarious. Doing like 40 damage from hand with like a 0 mana Malagos, and you just faceless your Mali. And a lot of the time you like draw for lethal too. You like UI, you hope you get like either like faceless or like a Kun. I don't know. You're like looking for more pieces, but you often just draw them, and everything costs 0. It's so fun.
Dude, we lost Hafu, man. Like,
it's over. I'm hearing this tone.
It is so fun.
Dude, I'm reminded of that meme. It's like you versus the play mode that she tells you not to worry about. Man, I don't know. I don't know how you go back to like turn 1 to like Murloc little 2/1 thing into turn 2, like plated beetle.
Hey.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Hey, they play plated beetle in the warlock.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's a good card.
Oh, 3 armor, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, and it makes you think about, like, every time I played Constructed and I come back to Arena, I get a little bit better, right? Because like I started playing started watching Constructed rather, and then I went back and I drafted Possessed Lackey just for the Void Lord, and I got 12 with it. Like, I know that's anecdotal, but like I would never consider Possessed Lackey. It, you know, like I don't know how you guys rate that card. But I would say
it's not going to be good. I'm going to go dig it up. I'm scrolling down. It's an 85. We rated the same as a Wandering Monster.
Sad.
It's
and
not
I
good.
I drafted it before I got a demon.
Oh, God.
I ended up with 1 demon, and granted, it's the best one, Void Lord, right? But but just the fact that it actually carried me to 12. Like, that one combo, and it's just like a stupid combo that I picked up and constructed. That I just wouldn't think about. I don't know. Just stuff like that.
Well, Merbs, one of the 3 of us here does not have a legend card back in a game that we have been playing for like 4 years now.
Well,
you don't have
one? Huh?
No, I just have this thing called number 1 in Arena.
Okay,
you know. I mean, you know, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I don't think either of you guys have, but yeah, that's cool. Legend card back. You know, I'm sure not many people have that, right? Like,
okay, whatever.
All right. So after this very depressing talk about Arena and very joyous talk, at least from Hafu's end, about Constructed,
following the enthusiasm for Dungeon Run that we all have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, look, we should talk about Hunter a little bit. And Hafu, you identified the Emerald Spellstone as the card you want to talk about, right?
Yeah, that card is bullshit.
Is that all you had to say about it? I was hoping we could get more of a conversation about
I mean, the first time I saw that card, I was like, okay, that's just good, right? It's just gotta be good. It's 3, it's like how Doppel's good, just on its own, right?
Yeah, but even better than Doppel on its own without being upgraded.
Yeah, because 3/3 is just better. It's like annoying to deal with. And then you upgrade it once, it's 9/9.
Yeah.
And it's a hunter. Yeah. And you have to deal with 3 bodies. Like, are you kidding me? Right? Like, that's just so insane to me. And it's a beast. Oh my gosh. Just like it feels so stupid. I don't know how else to say
Emerald Spellstone or Savannah Highmane?
How many secrets do I have?
First pick.
Spellstone, I think.
Okay, last pick. You have 2 secrets.
I mean, it depends on the curve, but probably Spellstone. If I have 2 secrets, I'm very comfortable taking the Spellstones. Because it feels like even harder to deal with than Highmane does. Because Highmane can actually, like, hide behind a taunt.
Yeah.
And, like, 5 mana, we're talking, like 6/6 is just average. 9/9 is, like, more likely. 12 is, like, ridiculous if you get that off. But, like, you know, if you get it off as if, you know, if you upgrade it once, it's not that unlikely, is it? And it will win you the game if you do that, because you're a hunter.
It's likely to, if you have 1 Emerald Spellstone and you have 2 secrets, I think the odds work out to be something like 35 or 6% chance for you to be able to, for you to be able to upgrade it.
Well, that's insane.
Yes.
That's insane. I mean, like 5 mana 9/9 is not okay by any means. Like, that's bigger stats than we've ever seen, right? 5 mana 8/8, like the cards I've always pushed for Fell Reaver and like Ravenous Hydra, or is it what it's called? Hydra? Bittertide Hydra. Right? Like I've always pushed for these cards just because like raw stats are insane. Like I think they're insane in Arena. And if you give that to a hunter, it's just like, what? What are you doing, man?
I'm starting to count secrets now when I play against Hunter, just to like get a nice feeling about how much I'm going to be screwed once they start casting the spellstones that I know are in their hands and they play the secrets. And I always get so relieved now whenever they play, because you know Deck Tracker. Oh, do you use Deck Tracker?
I use Innkeeper, so I have Deck Tracker now. Okay,
so it tells you when they take each card. So whenever I see the cards that have been like that were in their hands get played one by one after they play their secrets, I have a breath of relief every single time. It's like, oh, he played it. It doesn't even matter if it totally screws over my board. I'm like, at least it's not an Emerald Spellstone that's been upgraded. It's one less candidate.
I think 132 is too low for your rating.
Yeah, we're
Personally.
still looking at the Spellstones. Those are complicated cards.
I don't think Lesser Emerald Spellstone is complicated. I think that card is actually just broken. Like every time I've seen it against me, and every time I've played it, I feel like it just carries. Because it's just too many bodies for 5 mana. It's too many bodies.
Yeah. So this is. I like the fact that you picked this card because I think it speaks to a theme that I see sort of in the arena now, which is maybe many expansions ago. I think if you were a very good player, you wouldn't want to draft anything related to synergies, right? You could just play it safe and you could be okay. But it seems like with these new expansions that come out, there are a couple of things that we see in new cards. Number one is sort of like the strong swings in that you see in terms of not just RNG, but like draw order and sort of interactions between cards. So like with Lesser Emerald Spellstone, it could be 6/6, it could be 9/9, it could be 12/12. And it seems as though you kind of just need to embrace these synergies now. You need to embrace sort of the upside. Like you can't just win off of Yetis, right? You can't win off of this stuff. And I mean, it's shown through the tier list as well. Like Yeti is like 100 or 110. And then we have stuff like, you know, we have cards that like how many cards do we have above Yeti now? Like
well, the average card in your deck's a 115-ish. So Yeti's not so good if you're drafting it these days.
Right. And it's just, I don't know, like, is that part of the problem? The fact that you just have to like totally embrace this stuff? Like if you're a priest, you just have to embrace dragons, because if you don't embrace it, your opponents will embrace it and your opponents will just beat you because one of your opponents is going to hit them in the draft and in the games and you won't. So by you playing safe, you are probably not getting that 12, right? By you playing safe, it's just
like
not
when you're
happen.
like 5-0 or like 5-1 or whatever, the kind of decks you're facing. You're saying it's going to be predominantly the high roll decks.
Right, exactly. And
I mean, doesn't even have to be high roll, just like high card quality, right?
Right. And the fact that you're at 5-0, it's already the filtering, right? The guy you're facing has been filtered already. Like he is, it's not like a 50-50, oh, whose deck is better. Like his deck is probably better just because, I don't know, like, is that sort of a problem here? Like, and we have a lot of cards as well in which I see like, it's not even like Servant of Yogg Saron, which is like, oh, like I could get screwed, you could get screwed. You have cards like Lesser Emerald Spellstone, or like to a lesser degree, something like Nesting Rock, right? Where you just get really good vanilla stats and then even more on top of that. And it's just sort of, I don't know, like where...
I mean, Lesser Emerald Spellstone is on the next level
compared
to Nesting Rock.
Right, obviously. But like, we've seen so many of these cards where like on like the base card itself, right, is good. Like you don't need anything more. You don't need anything more than 5 mana for 6/6 worth of stats. You don't need anything more than a 4/7 body for 5 mana as well. But then, you know, you just hit a requirement, like pretty easy requirement for both, and then it just explodes in value when it comes to Lesser Emerald Spellstone.
Ridiculous.
It's no. Okay. Sorry. So,
okay, I was like, wow,
let's forget about that example. I'm saying that's sort of like where like that is the baseline now, right? It's like Yeti isn't like the baseline. The baseline is sort of like Nesting Rock.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's just so value oriented, and then you have like on the a reason why Hunter is so ridiculously strong is that you have to keep up with a Hunter, and you can't keep up with a Hunter playing value cards. Yeah. So like often my greedy drafts do get blown up by Hunters, but I'm not facing Hunters that often. I'm still facing, I actually face mostly priests. I don't know what you guys are facing.
Yeah.
I feel like I see priests more than anything. I feel like
Yes.
It's because our lives suck and Blizzard hates us.
I feel like I said 4 or 5 priests in a row, and I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not complaining because I feel like you know, I'm greedier, so I win those matches. So it's totally fine. Give me those priest matchups. Like, I get blown up by Hunters way more. But I need to draft greedy, otherwise I can't win the greedy matchups. And I feel like you see those way more often. Like, I feel like the meta's really slow. And then there's Hunter. It's like slow and then Hunter, right? Like, I'm not really getting aggroed down by it.
Like, Hunters aren't aggroing you down these days. They're like
but it's not as slow, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's not super great. Yeah.
They don't
Right.
have like the same kind of like slow cards as like a priest will,
Yeah.
right? Like you
Right.
have thought steal and stuff like
So
that.
the reason you're facing priest a lot, even though like priests are something like 10%, less than 10% of the actual overall meta, but the ones you're facing are all the super annoying high roll priests that in terms of like how they're drafted, and it's being filtered up because when you high roll a priest, you high roll the priest harder than you can high roll anything else, like reasonably.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of them in the actual meta of like, let's say you're 8-1. Like I bet if you're 8-0 or 8-1, the percent of priests that are there is like 25% or more, even though they're just 10% overall. And it's not because better players pick priests more often or anything like that. It's because they're easier to high roll. In fact, you're always trying to high roll a priest in some sense because you're always trying to go for dragons. Like that's
It's not always just dragon synergy that I've found to be successful, but just like the amount of like card advantage, right? Just card advantage is strong. Or like a city statue, like they're high drops or they're free from amber.
Yeah.
You know, mind control. Like when you look at the top end of priest, you're not gonna beat them, and if they outlast you, they just heal up. So there's no like winning after, right? They just have to live.
Yeah, I faced a priest with 4 dusk breakers and then a mind control and a free from amber. I'm just like, I hate you so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's so silly to fight stuff like that, but.
I faced a priest with who used triple psychic stream, and 2 of the times I had token generators, so I lost. There was one time I think he just used it to remove like 5 5s worth of stats off my board, but like it was 3 tokens, and we were getting near the end. I was like, all right, that's what I'll be drawing for the rest of this game.
So. You know, look, it seems like we're talking about hunters a ton. We're talking about priests a ton. And it's sort of, you know, we've already established, like, if you're playing priest, you have to go control. And then if you're playing hunter, obviously you're fast. Like, is there any room in between? Like, in between the hunter and the priest? It's like, because I haven't been having much success, like, in between there. And I don't know, like how do you win if you're basically not a hunter or you're not going at the speed or sort of like control route of a priest or warlock?
You can still go really greedy. Like Paladin, I've had a lot of success, and the Call to Arms is pretty nutty. I've had a lot of success on Warlock. Just all the cards on Warlock are insane. Like all the new cards are insane.
That's my pick right now for exploding, because Hunters are going down, Warlocks are going to go up. I think that's like now's the time to play Warlock.
I hate seeing a Warlock on Priest because I'm like, oh man, their card advantage isn't going anywhere, you know? Like I can't bully them out of like my favorite thing to see is Shaman because they suck.
Why not? Warrior. That is my favorite thing to see. I don't even care how high it is.
That's terrifying. Seeing a warrior is terrifying to me. Seeing a shaman is cute.
I have so much bad experiences with shamans and their like board clears and their high roll freaking lightning storms. Like every time they face me, they high roll. Every time I'm trying to use a lightning storm, it's 2 without the totem.
The thing with shamans, like, what can they do that priests can't do better? Right? Like, I can't identify
they
what
play more totems.
Bloodlust.
There is bloodlust. That is really true.
That is fair, I guess.
Dude,
but
I see a bloodlust. I draft a bloodlust. I don't remember who I was trying to convince.
Yeah,
that card is insane.
Huh.
We've been moving it up. We thought it was unplayable like 6 months ago, but since KFT, it's definitely gotten moved up a lot.
Okay, I take the second one. No one expects the second one. Oh my god.
I mean, that's fair. If they don't expect the first one, they definitely don't expect the second one.
I mean, I always take Bloodlust Evolve, like cards like that, and I'm greedy. Surprise.
Yeah.
Really greedy.
Yeah, pretty common theme.
Yep.
All right. So, Adukta, did you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I just kind of want to end on a more uplifting note than how crappy priests are and how crappy hunters are. So I enjoy seeing a hunter meta, even if it's just for a short while, like just as something new. And I like that they fixed it.
Remember Glaive Zuka?
Oh my god. Okay. Okay, a different type of hunter meta, a mid-range hunter meta. All right, I'm going to clarify. No one enjoyed the Glaive Zuka hunter meta.
No, that was fun. Haunted Creeper, Glaive Zuka, give me those back.
And the 3/2 Knife Juggler.
Oh God, I remember.
And then you're just dead. It's a 4-2, and then they pop their creeper, and you GG will play.
Juggler used to be 3.
And then probably the Shredder on 4. Yeah. And then I get a Doomsayer and I lose. Yeah.
Now it's you play Hungry Enten into the Doomsayer and then you lose.
Right.
I've never had that happen to me yet. God bless. But I almost never play.
That's happened to me twice in one run.
In a row. Twice in a row. Hungry Enten into Doomsayer. Hungry Enten into Doomsayer.
What am I?
It's really funny.
But yeah. So okay. So my point is, priests suck. Like, not that they are bad to play, but like, they cause unfun in the arena, more unfun than they cause fun generally when they're powerful, and they're relatively powerful now compared to where they were.
That's always been the case, though.
Yeah,
it's really hard to balance priests.
It
because
is.
Of the hero power.
It's a fundamental design thing, and just the way that they structure the cards. Right, it's not even just hero. Like, hero power is hard enough, and then they decided priest was going to be the hard counter class. Right, like this card hard counters this board state or this particular
Potion
kind
of madness.
Oh my god!
Play around it. Are you gonna play your Cobra ever?
Oh gosh.
Your snail? Yeah.
Nightmares. And now you have Basilisk, so they can even just leave it up for a turn, let your Basilisk kill something and take it the next turn, and they don't even care. But yeah, so priest aside, I think the meta's moving one in a better direction. Once you take out the hunters, it's gonna get a little more even. And the micro adjust for all the total lack of transparency and the hugeness, like, it's 40% right now. There's more Call of the Wilds than Eviscerates being offered. Like, we were hitting like this like point in which the whole fundamental game of the arena and what you're expecting to see is changed by micro adjusts, and no one really knows like what's happening there. But that aside, the actual result of just like stepping in and playing it, I don't think is like worse than it's been in any metas before. Like, I get what you're saying, Hafu, in that like if you do this enough times, you reach enough of a level, there is no end game. It is extremely repetitive. But that's kind of what a roguelike is like. So I don't know. I'm actually having a lot of fun in this meta. I haven't totally figured out the meta yet. I'm still putting the pieces together. Blizzard's going to keep changing offering odds on me, and that's going to be at least time consuming to figure out, if not fun. But I don't know. Priest aside, I think this meta it's complicated enough, and it's not particularly tilted. Like, you're talking about all the success you have, like drafting greedy decks. I've drafted like curve decks and been totally fine. So I think it's not like the curve decks and the aggroness hasn't been as stopped as I thought it would, which I really thought that was in danger of with all the cards coming out.
Curve is always going to be good if you're playing stuff on curve. Every turn is always going to be good.
Yeah.
So it's the consistency on that feels like it's fallen a lot.
Definitely, especially 2-drops. And then you now have to have like a certain class. But it's centered on 3-drops now, right? We were talking before, like it's hard to not have a curve on 3.
Right.
Like, you just end up taking all these like good neutral cards.
Sure.
So it's pretty diverse. Priests are a pain and a problem, but I don't know. I think everything else is generally in a okay state for a normal player or like a good player, with the caveat that's there is no competitive end game, right? It's still leaderboard. It's what we had like a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So on that note, I think it's a holiday season, and I'm just hoping that like Blizzard gives us a great Christmas present in terms of like a lot of new cool stuff, right? Like
dungeons.
Yeah,
I would say dungeons were a really, really awesome thing. It was free. Like, I cannot emphasize how amazing that all that content was free for everyone.
The polish was insane. Like all the small interactions as well. Like, I played a run yesterday in chat. I had no idea. But the boss that automatically eats your minion, like I had no idea if you just put a poisonous minion out there and he eats it, he just dies. I was like, that's awesome. That makes so much sense too. He's eating a poisonous minion. Of course he would die. But yeah, like there's just so much interaction and so much like Easter eggs in there as well. But at the same time, it's like, it's not arena, right? It's a limited format. And I would obviously like something more there. So we'll see. Anyways, Hafu, thank you so much for joining us today. If people wanted to check out more of your stuff, where would they go?
Oh, you can find me on twitch.tv/itshafu.
And your Twitter, which I know you're trying to.
Oh, Twitter.com/itshafu. If you follow me there, I love you. Yeah, that was one of my goals for this year, was to grow my socials, and I'm pretty happy with it. Happy with it this year.
There you go.
Thank you.
Nice. All right, and I think that is it. So thank you so much to Hafu for coming on and sharing her knowledge about dungeon runs, and we all wish you good luck in the second round. And hope to have you on again sometime.
For sure. Thank you, guys.
All right. Take it away, Advocta.
Until next week, this is Advocta.
This is Merps. Happy holidays.